What's up, guys? My name is Miles.
And my name is Fez.
And this is The Commodity. And today we're reacting to Has McDonald's Conquered Asia? Ton, ton, ton.
Apparently not the Philippines.
Yeah, because they're still eating that chicken joys, son.
Yeah.
But this video was requested to us by stay_Ray. Your name will now be thrown onto the screen as shown. Thank you so much for the suggestion to this video. We truly appreciate it, guys. If you want to suggest videos to us, click on the link in our description to our Discord. There's a video suggestion box where you can throw your links to the videos in there. Guys, before we hop into this video, if you would, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. It helps us get this out to more people. Also, if you would, go ahead and click the subscribe button and the bell notification icon. That way you guys can see our future videos. And if you want to help support the channel even more, you can click the join button down below.
Join button.
The join button below.
Join button below.
Please like this video.
Guys, we were literally just talking before about WhatsApp going down. So we don't use WhatsApp that much.
I do, to talk to our agent in Malaysia, one of my friends, Soren.
I'm talking about just as like a country.
Yeah, no, it's not very commonly used at all.
But since it went down yesterday or the day before yesterday?
2 days ago.
Yeah, when this video comes out, it's going to be like 4 days ago.
Yeah, 5 days ago.
Yeah, several days ago. How bad did that affect everybody in Southeast Asia or just wherever you are in the world if y'all use WhatsApp? Because, I mean, like, I got on Facebook and I was like, holy crap. Like, I don't remember the last time Facebook was down.
Right.
Like, that's a big deal. Because, you know,
Facebook.com domain was for sale.
Shut up.
It was like, it was rerouted. Facebook.com wasn't Facebook anymore. Like, Facebook was for sale. Somebody could have bought Facebook.com.
It probably cost an arm and a leg.
But they would have owned it.
Yeah, but nobody could probably afford it. I bet you that URL is worth billions.
Yeah. But I thought that was awesome that it was for sale. Guys, I think I already said this, but like this video, subscribe, and
bell notification.
Yeah, and you can join if you want. So let's go ahead and hop in.
Let's do it. Ooh, that does sound good.
This video is sponsored by Mighty Mug.
Ring Kento Bento.
He said,
this video is sponsored by Mighty Mug. Avoid disasters at home. And if McDonald's were a country, its revenue would make it the 105th largest economy in the world, surpassing the GDP of Estonia, Cambodia, and Afghanistan. The number of McDonald's employees worldwide would be more than the entire population of Iceland, Barbados, and Samoa. It's a big company, but it wasn't always that way. McDonald's was founded on May 15th, 1940 in...
They have a movie called Founders Day, right?
I think so.
That's about McDonald's. It's a pretty decent movie. It tells you the entire story of how McDonald's came about and how the owner was a thief. Did you know that?
Nope. You know who else was a thief?
The guy that created McDonald's wasn't the guy that created McDonald's.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
San Bernardino, California.
I can't remember. It's been a while.
He's over here just misinformation.
120 countries and territories around the world, serving 68 million customers each day. It took 27 years for the first McDonald's to appear outside of the US, and 31 years to make its way to a second continent. This continent was Asia. And in this video, I'm going to take you through the next 46 years of McDonald's Asian ascension. So which Asian country was the first to open a McDonald's?
Japan.
What did McDonald's have to sacrifice in order to compete with local markets? And how much of Asia is there still left to conquer as of today? We'll get into all of that, so grab a double cheeseburger, maybe some fries, and we'll explore every Asian country to have ever had a McDonald's.
Malaysia.
Welcome to McAsia. The first Asian McDonald's opened its doors in Tokyo, Japan.
Boom!
I'm done with the video.
Why?
I'm kidding.
On July 21st, 1971, beating the first ever European McDonald's in Zaandam, Netherlands by only 1 month. This was made possible by Den Fujita, a wealthy Japanese entrepreneur, the first Asian McDonald's franchisee, and the founder of McDonald's Japan. Fujita had revised the menu to include such classics as the Teriyaki McBurger and Chicken Tatsuta, which helped with the brand's initial success
That sounds good.
in Japan.
Teriyaki burger, yeah.
Ronald McDonald to Donald McDonald.
Donald
due to
McDonald.
the difficulties Japanese people have with pronouncing R and L.
And this isn't demeaning when I say this. That's kind of funny.
Why?
They changed it from Ronald to Donald because it was hard to pronounce Ronald.
Yeah.
I just pictured it in my head, like somebody trying to pronounce Ronald in that accent.
Say it. Let's hear it.
No, because that would be kind of racist, and obviously I love these countries too much to piss them off.
You do like an inside joke to yourself. You just starts laughing. I'm the racist on the inside. The accents can be funny. Just enjoy it.
Yeah, don't think down to me. I think I love you guys more than he does. So.
L sounds. The expansion of McDonald's has often been seen as a symbol of globalization, helping spread the American way of life, which actually makes Den Fujita's involvement particularly fascinating. During World War II, Fujita's father and 2 sisters were killed by American forces in bombing raids. Despite this, when Fujita made his way to America in 1967 and stepped foot in a McDonald's restaurant for the first time, he was amazed and inspired by the whole American fast food experience.
I love it.
Now this is all fine and well, but there's one part of the initial history of McDonald's Japan that the company might want to keep hidden, because in 1971, Den Fujita's marketing strategy involved the following statement. The reason Japanese people are so short and have yellow skins is because they have eaten nothing but fish and rice for 2,000 years. If we eat McDonald's hamburgers and potatoes for 1,000 years, we will become taller, our skin white, and our hair blonde.
I've been trying. It's not true.
I don't think that's a factual statement.
I don't think there's any proof behind any of this statement.
That's racist.
That is 100% racist.
Yeah, this actually happened. Anyway, moving on. 4 years later, in 1975, McDonald's expanded to Causeway Bay in Hong Kong. Since then, McDonald's Hong Kong has set records for having some of the busiest and jam-packed McDonald's outlets in the world.
Because I was British Hong Kong.
Never mind.
What were you going to say?
5. McDonald's expanded to Causeway Bay in Hong Kong. Since then, McDonald's Hong Kong has set records for...
Weckwoods.
Yeah.
That's just where I was going with it.
But he said the first R perfectly.
He did. That's what's weird. Is he said Ronald McDonald. They changed Ronald to Donald because it was harder to pronounce, but he just said Weckwoods instead of records. So, I don't know. That was where my inside joke was earlier. To myself.
Having some of the
and it's really not even funny.
McDonald's outlets in the world. Note that Hong Kong got its first McDonald's restaurant before mainland China, but more on that later. In 1979, McDonald's landed in Orchard Road, Singapore, the first McDonald's in Southeast Asia. As of the
some of
making
the things
of this
he
video,
says sounds
McDonald's
British.
Singapore is home to the global chains.
Kind of like Itchy.
Yeah, like a few words.
Itchy from Discord sounds just like that.
Yeah, every now and then a word comes out sounding British.
Yeah.
Oldest employee. Go Guek Eng is a 93-year-old great-grandmother with 10 grandchildren and 20 great-grandchildren, and she continues to labor over a hot fryer, diligently working in one of Singapore's busy city outlets. She says she plans to keep working for as long as she's healthy. 1981 saw the arrival of McDonald's, or should I say,
just a good work ethic,
as it's colloquially called, to the Philippines. One of the more popular items on the menu here is McSpaghetti, which is often served with fried chicken.
Boy, they love their
later,
spaghetti.
in 1982, McDonald's opened its first outlet in a Muslim-majority country in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Just like many of the countries I'll be getting into, they serve halal food. That is food permissible according to Islamic law. So Allah's name must be pronounced during slaughter, the animal slit at the throat, and the carcass completely drained of blood. As many of you know, pork is also forbidden. In 1984, Taiwan opened its first McDonald's in Taipei. Here, it seems very little is forbidden, as you can see from the cosplay culture of McDonald's staff during the
That's
holiday
dope.
season.
That is really
Come here
cool.
if you want your chicken McNuggets served by a Super McSayan. Thailand is the next to welcome McDonald's, opening the first outlet in Bangkok. According to Ray Williams, who's eaten McDonald's in over 34 countries,
That'd be a
McDonald's
cool
Thailand is the best one he's had.
I've
Now,
had it
this
in
video isn't just about
3
East
countries.
or Southeast Asia, as some of you
4.
might be thinking. I'll soon be going over South,
I've had it in
West,
7.
and even North Asia. And if you're unsure of which countries are considered part
Counties?
of Asia, at least according to the international community, you can check out my video series on Asian borders. Okay, this sets the scene for the first McDonald's in the Middle East. In 1986, McDonald's Turkey was born, starting with an outlet in Istanbul. Here, you'll find some Middle Eastern-inspired menu items like the Turkish breakfast set and a double kufta burger. As for the rest of West Asia, well, it'll still be some time before
Sounds like a
McDonald's
racial
really makes its
slur.
presence known in the region. Back to the east, and 5 months later, Macau, which at the time was a Portuguese territory, got its first taste of McDonald's. Interestingly enough, you could also consider this the first Portuguese McDonald's, as at the time Portugal itself had yet to open a McDonald's restaurant, although this would go on to happen 4 years later. In 1988, McDonald's went with South Korea opening its first McDonald's in the Gangnam district of Seoul. McDonald's South Korea is also the first Asian McDonald's to sell alcohol, namely beer. As the 90s rolled,
Hey.
So after, I went
South Korea opening its first McDonald's in the Gangnam district of Seoul. McDonald's
So after watching Squid Game, I was watching an episode, a Jacksepticeye video, which I found out he speaks fairly fluent Korean, and he was going over how to read this. This is really kind of cool. Like, it's one of the easiest languages to learn is Korean, because they stack the letters to make the words or something within that realm. Like each of these, this right here, and this right here, each make a different sound to make the word. So I thought it was really cool. Like this bar and this line represent one noise. Now, if it has 2 bars in the line, it would represent a different noise. So it's really cool. And then this right here on top makes a different noise from this. So that's how you structure your word. It's really not that hard, and their I guess alphabet is actually quite small.
Squid Game was really good.
Yeah, if you haven't seen Squid Game, gotta check it out. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It's very R-rated,
Very R-rated.
but it was good.
McDonald's South Korea is also the first Asian McDonald's to sell alcohol, namely beer. As the 90s rolled around, so did the Russians. The collapse of the Soviet Union happened in 1991, but as for the year before, McDonald's had opened its first outlet in Pushkin Square, Moscow, currently one of the largest
1990.
McDonald's in the world. I know many of you would associate Russia with Europe,
No,
but
I
it
don't.
is the
I do.
only country in North Asia, so of course I had to include it. As for the first McDonald's in Siberia, the actual Asian side of Russia, the
I remember
remote conditions
2000.
there made the logistics of supply
too.
extremely complicated. Opening a McDonald's in Siberia did not seem possible, at least not yet. However, it certainly was possible for China. The first Chinese McDonald's opened in Shenzhen, October 1990. Here,
That's shocking that it didn't pop up in China until that late. It's China.
Yeah, it's China. They are very strict about what goes in, what comes out, type
Yeah.
stuff. So I get it.
Ronald McDonald is often called Uncle McDonald. Currently, McDonald's is quite popular in China. However, there is still a long way to go, especially when compared to KFC, the top foreign fast food chain in the country.
I love
in
KFC.
1991, the Golden Arches arrived in Jakarta, Indonesia. The McDonald's here is known for having more rice-centric items, including the local chicken porridge dish, bubur.
That looks
good.
delicious.
1992 saw Brunei welcome the fast food giant to its capital. Despite having operated in the country for over 14
That's a
years,
beautiful McDonald's.
Brunei had only ever had 2 restaurants in its history. A slow growth, especially when compared to other countries. A year later,
Here, hold on,
McDonald's
go back.
history.
I want to see this. So we got Japan with 3,300 plus, China with 2,200 plus, Russia with 610, Philippines, South Korea, Taiwan, Malaysia, Thailand, Hong Kong, Turkey, Indonesia, Singapore, and Brunei. That's crazy. Man, this company's so big.
A slow growth, especially when compared to other countries. A year later, McDonald's began its great Middle East expansion, with its first stop in Israel. The McDonald's here is known for being the healthiest McDonald's in the world, with the use of light canola oil, excess of vegetables, and reduced fat content in their meat. Patties are also barbecued on charcoal rather than fried, and many of the branches are kosher. To avoid confusion, kosher branches are blue and white instead of the trademark yellow and red.
They don't fry the burgers.
That's what I'm saying. Who fries their burgers?
Those are grilled over charcoal grill.
I understand that, but
at McDonald's they do it on a griddle.
Yeah, but that's not fried.
Technically, it's fried. It's no different than putting it on a pan.
That's not frying it, though. Fried means you're putting it into hot oil.
When I think of frying an egg, you put it in
oil. You put
butter.
Well, you put oil down or butter or something to fry it in.
Well, they'd have to do that with a burger as well on a griddler.
I used to work there. I used to work for McDonald's. All you do is just put the patty on the thing, and it cooks in its own fat.
Gotcha. Well, that's the oil then.
I wouldn't classify that as fried.
Oh.
But what was I going to ask? I was going to ask something else. Anyways.
This redesign is one of the more radical departures we've ever seen from the company. McDonald's Israel has also garnered controversy over the years for stating they would not open restaurants in the contentious regions of the West Bank and Golan Heights, a long-term policy of theirs to not operate a McDonald's across the pre-1967 borders. This demarcation line was set out in the 1949 armistice agreement after the First Arab-Israeli War. Now, less controversial but perhaps more bizarre is what happened recently in Saudi Arabia. McDonald's Saudi Arabia took out a full-page ad in a Saudi national newspaper swearing loyalty to the new Crown Prince. The first McDonald's in Saudi Arabia had opened in Riyadh just 2 months after Israel, the first in the Arabian Peninsula. And even though dissent is almost unheard of in this monarchical society, it's still kind of strange that a fast food corporation feels the need to be so vocal in their support of a newly ordained royal. 1994 to 1995 saw the mass continuation of this regional expansion, with Kuwait, Oman, Bahrain, United Arab Emirates, and Qatar all experiencing McDonald's for the very first time. In 1996, McDonald's arrived in Delhi, India, this time the very first in South Asia. Here, the McDonald's is something quite unique and different. Actually, with religious-based food taboos and a strong vegetarian tradition, it had to be. McDonald's India is the first to have no beef or pork on its menus. No beef for the Hindus and no pork for the Muslims. There's still chicken and fish though, and many options for vegetarians. In fact, India is the first country in the world to open a vegetarian-only McDonald's. Some vegetarian options you'll find are the Makaloo Tikki Burger, which has a spiced potato and pea-based filling. This one's super popular. And the McSpicy Paneer. Paneer being a type of soft Indian cheese. In case you're wondering, the Big Mac equivalent in India is the Maharaja Mac.
The wrestler
Next up, we return to West Asia with Jordan, Cyprus, and Lebanon all joining the McDonald's family. When I say Cyprus, however, I mean, of course, the Republic of Cyprus, not the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, which lacks international recognition as a state. In fact, it's recognized by only one UN member state. I'm sure you can guess which one. So McDonald's does not exist in Northern Cyprus. You can't get a cheeseburger, you can't get a Big Mac. Actually, you can eat at a Big Mac, however, that's Big Mac one word, a chain of fake McDonald's restaurants that have set up shop in the north. Not surprisingly,
and they can't go after that?
Have only recognized the ones in this country.
Well, Big Mac is 2 words with McDonald's.
But there's still
the arches.
Yeah, I mean, I understand each country has their own laws, but it seems like you'd be able to still somehow go after it because I mean, you're using likeness. It doesn't have to be exactness, it's likeness.
Right. Yeah.
And Big Mac itself, I'm sure in every possible way of spelling it, is owned by McDonald's.
I want to see that again.
That's Big Mac one word. A chain of fake McDonald's restaurants that have set up shop in the north. Not surprisingly, McDonald's corporate headquarters have only recognized the ones in this country. But then, maybe not. McDonald's Pakistan was the next to open, with an outlet in Lahore. McDonald's was now starting to make its presence known in South Asia, and sure, there were many who were quite happy about it, but you know who wasn't happy? These guys. When another branch opened in the city of Quetta, which happens to be the home of the Taliban's ruling council, well, the Islamist militants weren't loving it. After some Taliban members sampled burgers and chicken nuggets from the American fast food chain,
burger,
they proclaimed their displeasure and disapproval of the taste. They said they didn't even consider it food, which may actually be the first time some of you agree with the Taliban. A month after opening in Pakistan, Sri Lanka followed suit with their first outlet in Colombo. We've already heard from one self-proclaimed McDonald's expert claiming Thailand did it the best. But for James McGowan, who's eaten McDonald's in 53 countries, he claimed it is in fact McDonald's Sri Lanka that tops the rest. His favorite item on the menu is the Sini Sambal sandwich, a carefully folded egg omelette filled with cheese, peppery mayo, fried red onions, and a sweet and spicy onion relish. Not gonna lie, that sounds kinda good. 1999 saw McDonald's arrive smack dab in the Caucasus, with Georgia and Azerbaijan getting their first tastes, respectively Tbilisi and Baku. Currently, there's a McDonald's location in Batumi, Georgia, that's known for its architectural beauty and achievement. Arguably, the chain's most
that looks like an
exquisite
Apple store.
outlet. Now, 7 years went by before McDonald's once again made waves in a new Asian country. In 2006, Iraq got its first McDonald's. Actually, first and only McDonald's. In fact, the outlet wasn't even for the general public. It was only the US Army who was stationed in Baghdad.
I was going to say, because I wonder how many McDonald's that would actually be if you include those.
Right.
Because we have like installations everywhere, all over the world. And we're the only country that has that.
Yeah.
But, I wonder, and it's going to be exact prices as a U.S. McDonald's.
Right.
Which is insane. The amount of money that the government loses to import these things is just ridiculous. Just to make our troops, feel at home, which is good. It's mental. It's very important. Like, it was crazy. So when my ex-wife was in the Army and she was in Iraq, like the meals that they got were insane. Like Fridays was always like lobster day.
Really?
Yeah, no, they got good. They had steak, they had lobster, they had really good meals. Like it was just impressive. And they always had these kind of restaurants. Like you could go get Subway, Sonic, McDonald's, and all these different KFCs and all that kind of stuff, just so you felt like you were at home.
Right.
Because otherwise you're in this tiny little building that you share with a roommate. Sometimes I think she had her own, and then you hear mortars going off and all this. So it's really psychological. You have to have some semblances of home.
Right.
And these are the things that helped them out.
Not sure if it should actually count, but don't feel too bad for the locals, because just like with Big Mac, one word, Iraqis are still free to try McDonald's, located in Iraqi Kurdistan. As we start nearing the present time, there are only a few Asian countries left. But before we get to them, let's go back to Russia, namely the Asian side of Russia. Up until now, Siberians had to cross over to the European side if they were to ever try a Big Mac. But in 2013, McDonald's finally expanded to this remote region, having sorted out the logistics of it once and for all. Now, all Russians can have McDonald's.
Mac food is a shit, kills us slowly.
Some Russians can have McDonald's.
Facts.
In 2014, Vietnam joined the party with a branch in Ho Chi Minh City. Vietnamese people traditionally eat more pork and chicken, so it was interesting to see if Vietnamese tastes would give way to beef patties and fries. Add to that, a McDonald's value meal costs as much as several bowls of pho. The pronunciation sucks. As of now, the answer to that remains unclear, as it's still early days. Which leads us to finally Kazakhstan. Certainly early days here as well, as McDonald's had only just entered the market in 2016 with a restaurant in Astana. And if you've been keeping count, this is actually the first outlet in Central Asia. Initially, there were murmurings that McDonald's Kazakhstan was going to cater to its national cuisine, which many took to mean McHorseburgers and Pony McNuggets. But this turned out to be a miscommunication, nothing more than a fantasy, like unicorns. And with that, we've just covered every Asian country to ever have a McDonald's. So has McDonald's conquered Asia? Well, maybe. Depends on how you define it. But certainly, these Asian countries may argue against it. Cambodia, Laos, Timor-Leste, Myanmar, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Nepal,
They're like,
Maldives,
we don't have any.
Afghanistan, Iran, Myanmar, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Nepal, Maldives.
Where's Maldives?
Right?
Afghanistan, Iran, Yemen, Syria, Armenia, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, Mongolia, and North Korea. There's something called the Golden Arches theory of conflict prevention that states no two countries that have McDonald's franchises have ever gone to war with each other since each got its McDonald's. Apparently, the reason for this correlation is because once a country has reached an economic development where it has a strong enough middle class to support a McDonald's network, it no longer has the interest to fight wars. Countries that have made strong economic ties with one another have too much to lose. There are perhaps a few inconsistencies with this theory, depending on what one considers a war. But as a general rule, there could be something to it. And if it is true, whether you love McDonald's or not,
North Korea is the only one that has a nuke over it.
Yeah.
you gotta wish for the day that McDonald's North Korea becomes a reality.
Yeah.
I don't think it will.
No.
Ever.
Nope.
Until the country decides to
How's this for tie-in?
revolutionize.
So here we have a
Big
cheeseburger, a Coke, and the unspillable Mighty Mug. This is the mug that supposedly won't fall.
Guys, if you want a Mighty Mug, we'll put his link in the description so you can go to his video and click on his Mighty Mug link for Mighty Mugs.
I still want to. We need to find a video that discusses the what is it called? The Big Mac. There's a whole thing about cost of Big Mac is adjusted for the country and all that kind of stuff, and you can assume the financial status for a country based off of the cost of a Big Mac.
I will say that McDonald's has taken over the globe.
Yeah, as a whole, absolutely.
I mean, out of any fast food chain,
there's no fast food
McDonald's
chains
is-
that can touch what McDonald's
Right,
is.
and even places that don't have a McDonald's near them,
They know about it.
you've seen the Golden Arches.
You've heard of the Golden Arches. You
Right.
know about. It's just one of those companies, just like Apple.
And a lot of people in America are like, "Ooh, I'd never eat McDonald's," but then
Statistics prove otherwise.
you'll catch them on the road and they'll be sitting there eating a burger in their car from McDonald's, and they're like,
yeah, they're embarrassed. By
"Yeah."
it.
I mean, it's
I don't eat a lot of McDonald's.
fast food is not healthy food. It doesn't matter where it's from. For the most part, fast food is unhealthy. McDonald's is, in my opinion, not any more unhealthy
Than the next place.
Than the next place.
Yeah, I agree.
And
it's their fries are to die for. They have the best fries. I don't
Carl's
care
Jr.
what.
and Hardee's have the best.
No, not
Carl's
even
Jr.?
close. Not even close.
Are you kidding me?
McDonald's
has
the
some
most
great fries.
famous fries in the world. My dad would literally be like, "Let's go to McDonald's," and all he would go for is just the fries. Nobody does that with Carl's Jr. and
I
Hardee's.
have.
Boy, if you go to,
I don't go anywhere for just fries.
I was about to say because I know you,
but
too
I will
well.
go somewhere.
But you see how
because
small
of
my
the
dad
fries.
is, so-
When I go to Carl's Jr., I really only go because of the fries. I can get a better burger.
Oh,
anywhere.
so you're saying you don't go there for the breakfast burger
I get the breakfast burger,
because it's the bomb.
but I get the fries.
They can't touch McDonald's. McDonald's has the best fries in the entire
They can't touch
world.
McDonald's because McDonald's is too far behind them.
Yeah,
Just saying.
this one is McDonald's has conquered the world. Nobody outside of certain parts of this country, certain parts, not the entire country, has it.
Guys, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you would, go ahead and click the subscribe button, the bell notification icon. And if you'd like to help support the channel even more, you can click the join button down below.
And keep on sending those the video requests because we love doing these types of videos. And with that being said,
My name's Miles.
my name is Fez.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Peace.
It's out.